traducción. Nuestra querida Marta, que casi no está. Y no se olviden que si quieren escuchar en español, que pueden elegir el mundito que está ahí abajo, donde dice interpretación en su pantalla.
Sí.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone for being here. I'm just gonna give a quick overview of what we're doing tonight. So if you recall from now 2 weeks ago, we had a design session for the front entrance feature that we're working on, which is really exciting and a fun project to design. Architects, engineers have gone away and come up with some really beautiful designs from your input that we're going to take a look at, have some time to discuss, and ultimately come away with the designs that the community at large, the whole community of Southwood will vote on, which will explain all that, how that will work. And it should be much simpler than voting for street names. We will then have a little break, and then we have a couple of guests here tonight. Michael, and I'm not sure if Barbara is here with us yet, but I don't see her on my screen. Maybe she is, but we will have some time.
She's going to join later.
Okay, awesome. They visited us maybe a month ago to talk about the grant that we've worked on them with, and they just want to have a discussion with you about what your participation in redevelopment has been like in our community. So with that, I am going to go ahead and pass it over to Rush.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. I'm just going to get us started tonight. Tonight we are, as Jordan just said, having our third and final design meeting about our entrance feature in Southwood. And this evening, we're going to take 3 designs that Todd and Whitney, our landscape architects and architects, have put together for us. And we're going to narrow those 3 down into 2 options. Those 2 options will then go to the larger community for a final vote, and we'll have a winner in early January that we'll start to construct. So that's pretty exciting. Before we get into that, I just want to review a little bit some of the things we've talked about in these other 2 meetings, just to make sure we are all talking about the same things. So I'm going to share my screen to start. You guys may remember this presentation or this picture. We looked at it a couple of weeks ago. This is a picture of the entrance as it looks today. This is as though we are standing on Old Lynchburg Road and we're looking at Hickory Street. So Old Lynchburg here and Hickory Street here. So one of the first things that we talked about was that there are constraints, limitations, existing conditions that we need to think about, we need to remember while we are making our design decisions. So some of these limitations have to do with things that are in this area, like electric lines, which we see here, like things that are under the ground that we don't necessarily see, like water lines or sewer lines. Oh, and to note, we are also working on making these electrical lines something you don't see. We're going to work on getting them under the ground so that you won't pass under them as you come into our entrance. There's also telephone lines, internet lines, all kinds of things that we can't see, but that they're still there under the ground. And they have an impact then on where we can build. This yellow box is another one where that is land that we don't own. So it's another example of something that limits where we can and can't build. This is a picture you guys have also seen that's an important place to start. So here is Old Lynchburg Road. The picture we were just looking at was as though we were standing right here looking this way down Hickory Street, which is this gray line here. You see all of these black lines here. And that's what I was talking about with all of these things that are under the ground that we won't actually see. It won't look like a bunch of big black lines when we see the built Southwood, but they're still there and they still impact, they still matter for where we can build. So this drawing shows these two blue boxes here. Each box is where the engineers have decided that looking at all these things that are crisscrossing, going all over the place under the ground, these are two areas where we could put big things like walls or fences, big plantings, signs, things that need to go into the ground to make sure that they can stand up for a long time. Because in this area, we can put things into the ground without running into all of those other things that are there. So that's a lot of what tells us where we can and can't build. And that's the area we've been working with as we've done our design work the last couple of weeks. Some of the limits also have to do with time. So we talked about this at the beginning. I just mentioned it as well. We're really trying to get this design so that we can build it early in the process of constructing phase one, because we want to kind of mark this new entrance, this new phase of Southwood. And so because we have a start date that's coming up really soon, we can't talk about this forever and ever and ever. We have to make a decision and move on so that we can build it. Another one of the constraints that I don't have any pictures of, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen, is budget. It's money. So we're thinking about the cost that it might take to build these items, but we're also thinking about long-term the cost it might have to maintain and to own these items. And so all of the designs that you're going to see tonight fit into our budget that we have developed as part of our first phase. What that means is that Whitney will and has different trade-offs or choices so that we can fit into the budget. So to review, tonight we're going to look at 3 designs. We're going to narrow those down to 2. We're going to have some time to discuss it in small groups. We're going to have a vote here in this meeting, in this session. And then whatever 2 you guys pick are going to go to the larger community. One thing I want to note before we get into the designs and talking about all this is just a reminder. It's really important to remember tonight we are choosing between 3 different ideas. And what I mean by that is that these are designs that are still going to need to be worked on to get them ready to be built. These aren't finished, ready to be built kinds of designs. So things, little details are still going to move around, shift a little bit. So try not to get too focused on any one detail that you like or don't like, but instead think about the picture that you like the best, the idea that you find the most interesting, the most exciting. And so Whitney's going to do a really great job of walking you guys through that and helping you understand what the different ideas are that we got from your designs 2 weeks ago. But just to remember, it's really about the idea and not so much the details at this point. So that's all I really had to share. And I'm going to hand it over to Whitney, who is going to show us these beautiful drawings.
Thanks, Rush. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay before I get going. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I think this is This is our presentation. And so what you should be seeing on your screen, and I'll go ahead and go to the full screen mode. You should be seeing all the designs that you all did 2 weeks ago when we last met. Group 1 had a series of designs that they came up with. Group 2 had a series of designs, and Group 3 had a series of designs. And so, like Rush said, what I want to do is I want to talk through those designs that you all came up with 2 weeks ago, discuss the particular notes from each group and kind of the design ideas behind each scheme that they came up with. And then we're going to go through and talk about what the common themes were between all of the groups and all of the designs, because that is what Todd and his team has been using to develop the schemes that we're going to present tonight as the 3 schemes to narrow to 2. So first, I'll just go through by group. So last time we met, Group 1, these were Group 1's designs. And the common themes we heard from Group 1, or the theme we heard from Group 1 was wanting a variety of trees, ones that were different from the street trees to kind of mark this as a special thing, this different from the street itself. They also wanted to see a variety of textures and colors in the plantings, and also across a year, so seasonally in the spring, summer, and fall, and even winter, there would perhaps hopefully be different colors from the plants. They talked a lot about tying the 2 sides together by planting, and they talked about that because all of their schemes were not the same on either side in terms of the component that made up the design. For instance, this had a sculpture on one side and just plantings on the other, and this had a wall and sculpture, and so they weren't symmetric. So that was Group 1. Group 2 came up with a lot of designs, great designs as well, and some common themes from their explorations, their studies was they wanted it to be easy to maintain. They also, though, were looking for, same as Group 1, a variety of colors and textures in the plants throughout the year. They also wanted to tie the 2 sides together through the plantings. And again, because often their different designs weren't symmetrical, they didn't have the same kind of built elements on both sides. And so they were saying that the landscape would help tie that together and make it more of a singular looking design. They also talked a lot about a desire for evergreen trees because they would have color throughout the year. So that was Group 2. And Group 3 was a group that requested or thought that to be symmetrical, to have the built elements be the same on both sides was something that was important, which was different from the other 2 groups, but very noteworthy. But a lot of their other points were very similar to the other 2 groups. The variety of texture and colors throughout the year, balancing the color with different types of plants. Something else they mentioned was layering the plants. Like in this first scheme, there is a row of small and then higher, and then at the back, the tallest plants. And again, they talked about evergreen trees and tying the 2 sides together by using similar types of plants. So then, like I said, we looked at all of the every single design together, and we noticed that there were a couple that were very similar. So we went ahead and considered those to be almost the same design. So that when we were we did an overall count of some of the larger common themes, and we said that there were 10 designs we were looking at when we were doing that count of the different things that were common among the schemes. And so the first thing we noticed was 2 out of 3 groups, like I said, and 7 out of the 10 designs were asymmetrical, meaning that they didn't have the same built element on both sides. Another common theme that we found, 7 out of the 10 designs had a sculpture in them. So that's a sculpture, that's a sculpture. So we counted 7. 7 out of the 10 schemes also had either a wall or a pier or a fence, but far fewer had fences. Most of them had walls, and it was this stone wall in our design exercise. And then there was the idea about how are the plants similar and the planting arrangement similar. And what we found was that almost everyone, 7 out of 10, had symmetry around the plantings on both sides. So the plants are very similar on one side as the other. This flowering tree is also over here. That is an example. And these are the different elements that were the most popular in the actual types of plants. There were the flowering plants that happen all year after year, the perennials, and then shrubs, the bushes, evergreen trees, and flowering trees were the most popular types of landscape. And so that you'll see in the options of the designs that Todd and his team have come up with. Those are in every single scheme because it was so, it was in almost all of the schemes. And the last thing is that we noticed there was often a sign. The entrance feature to all these ideas was something that was announcing a name of this place. And so in the design options that you'll see, we include that in every single design option. So I guess without much further talking about this, I will go into the design options. And I'd like to say that these are the beautiful work of Water Street, and I just have the pleasure of presenting them. So Todd and his team can jump in if I get things a little bit wrong. Okay, so we are going to present each scheme, each design option, option 1, 2, and 3, using the images that you all received earlier. You have these in paper form. And so this one that we're looking at is page 1. This is design 1. And I can all of the views, each design are exactly taken from the same place, but showing the different designs. And so this first view is a bird's eye view looking from the top down at, this is Hickory Street. And then Old Lynchburg would be up here, right off the page. And so these are the 2 buildings that are just at the entrance, like what Rush was showing in her map. The 2 little squares that were blue would be here, where we're actually seeing, in this case, 2 walls. And so what this design option is doing is it's showing a scheme that is actually symmetric. It's the same on both sides. This scheme, this design does not have a sculpture, but what this design has is 2 walls. And in this case, they're shown as stone walls. But again, this is a conceptual idea of what this feature would be. And then what this design is showing is a mixture of those planting types that were found in a lot of the designs that you all did. The flowers, the flowering trees, which you see down here, the shrubs, which are these ones in the bird's eye view, which are over here and over here, and evergreen trees, which are here. Something else to say quickly about these views is it's shown at about 10 to 20 years into the age of the trees. So that's about how high they would be in 20 years. So this is design 1. It's focusing on symmetry, making the walls the same on both sides. So to go to design 2, which is page 3 of your packet, and I glossed over page 2, which is a larger picture of one of those views for design 1. But design 2, so design 2 is not symmetrical. It's not the same on both sides. And what it does is it introduces an idea of a sculpture, which a lot of the designs had from 2 weeks ago. And it has the wall on one side with a sign integrated into that. Like I said, a lot of the plantings are very similar. With layering, they're just arranged differently for this scheme, for this design. But there are flowering trees and the perennial flowers, shrubs, and the evergreen trees. And this is page 4. This is the bigger view of that. So then if you go to page 5 of your handouts, this is the third design, design 3. The idea behind this is something we saw in a couple of the designs that you all came up with 2 weeks ago, which was using a sculpture to also be a sign announcing the name of the place. And so this is doing it in a way where it's just that this is where it is in this is a sculpture, and you can see it here. And it also, you can read that, it would say the name of the neighborhood. And again, the plantings are the same types, but arranged a little bit differently in this design. Do you think something to say at this point about the signs are, they all say Southwood, but again, like the overall idea of all of this being a conceptual idea. I know that you all haven't had the discussion about naming the neighborhood yet, or if it is going to be renamed. Southwood is a great name, but I know that that discussion is yet to be had. So Southwood is just put there as kind of a placeholder until you all have that conversation about what the name is. And then here's the bigger view of that design 3, showing the sculpture. And again, it's an idea about how a sign and a sculpture could work together. It wouldn't necessarily look just like this, but that's the idea behind it, sign and sculpture. So before we break into groups and talk about narrowing it down from 3 to 2, I wanted to give a side-by-side look at each of them. And again, the first design was focused on providing a symmetrical option, something that had the same built element on both sides, and it doesn't have a sculpture. It has walls and fences. The second option and the third option are not symmetrical. They're different on both sides, but the second option maintains both a wall and a sculpture, whereas the third option has just the sculpture. And so then if you go down here and I've tried to compare how all of these are on budget and the trade-offs between them to keep them on budget. And so the first one, it has more wall. It has 2 sides. The wall's on 2 sides, and that and has some more cost associated with it than not building 2 walls. And so to balance out that cost, it doesn't have a sculpture. And then in the second design, it has both a sculpture and a wall, but in order to balance the cost, the wall is only on one side. Less wall construction overall. And the third one is a custom sculpture, and so it doesn't have any walls in order to kind of balance the cost in that way. And so, unless there's any questions, I think this is when we break into our groups, and we'll talk about narrowing down to 2 that you like the best. Oh, I'll stop sharing the screen, right?
Yeah, so as Whitney said, we're going to break out into our small groups. Some of the English observers are going to be put into Spanish groups, so just so you know. But during these small group discussions, we want you guys to discuss which designs you like the most and why. Because later on we're going to be voting on them. So this is an opportunity to discuss the things you like or the things you don't like, and before we start voting, so you guys have a little bit more time to look at them. So I'm gonna put you guys into breakout groups. This is my first time doing this, and it's gonna work flawlessly. Okay, see, we're gonna have 10 minutes, by the way, 10 minutes to discuss the 3 designs. Ya. Ya hizo perfectamente.
Perfecto.
Ah,
Oh, here comes Eugene.
pues. He's just gonna
Yeah,
hang
name.
with us. Okay. Molly, yo no tengo los
All
fotos.
right.
Usted tiene.
Amanda, you look frozen to me. Se congeló su pantalla. ¿Los otros ven a Amanda o no?
Shoot.
Puede juntarse con nosotros pronto.
No, es
Por el momento, quiero escuchar. Oh, Amanda. You're back. Hooray.
estoy
Es que se congeló.
Ah, está bien. Bueno, siga, lo siento.
Ya, so queremos, yo y Amanda, queremos saber de ustedes cuál de los 3 diseños es su favorito. Si puede sacar su paquete. Amanda, no sé, quizás queremos compartir la pantalla y revisar otra vez los. Oh,
Usted tiene, porque yo no tengo. Estoy.
Whitney sí puede. Whitney, could you reshare your screen and we could look at the 3, just the zoom in, the big picture.
I was thinking, don't you think all the groups probably want this?
They probably do.
Yeah.
I think the facilitators have them in their email.
Hopefully.
So
Yeah, okay.
they should be able to pull it up if they need to. Or you could also send it to them real quick.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Tell me if you see my email.
So, Whitney está compartiendo su pantalla para que vemos los 3 diseños. So, diseño 1 es en página 2 de su paquete. Este diseño tiene un muro en los 2 lados de la calle con el nombre del vecindario en un lado y unos pinos, unos árboles de diferentes tipos y diferentes plantas de diferentes alturas. Y como sugirieron la vez pasada, tiene las plantas un poco más altas no están enfrente del letrero. So, eso es diseño 1. Diseño 2, en medio, aquí en la pantalla, es en su página 4 de su paquete. Ese diseño tiene un muro solo en un lado y el otro lado tiene una, ¿cómo se dice sculpture?
Estructura o algo así, en forma de arte también.
Ajá. So, tiene uno de esos al otro lado. Pero igual tienen las plantas similar en los dos lados. Y eso es diseño 2, con la estructura en un lado y un muro con el letrero en el otro lado. Diseño 3 se encuentra en página 6 de su paquete. Eso es el diseño que no tiene muro, solo tiene una estructura que también es el letrero. Tienen los dos papeles. Es como la idea es algo que es como un poco de arte, pero también como letrero. Y similar tiene las plantas y los árboles similar en los dos lados. So, ¿ya Amanda iba a decir algo?
No, solo que tenemos 5 minutos para decidir.
Ok, so vamos. ¿Quién quiere empezar a contarnos su favorito?
Lulu ya está lista.
Yo el número 1.
El número 1. ¿Y por qué, Lulu?
Por las piedras.
Ajá.
Las dos se ven bien a la entrada y el nombre también del parqueo.
Gracias, Lulu.
Y las plantas, si no pueden poner esas, pueden poner otras plantas, pero me gusta la piedra.
María, ¿cuál es su favorita?
Creo que me gusta más el 3.
¿El 3?
Sí, yo creo que más el 3.
¿Y por qué?
Me gusta más cómo se ve. De principio sí me gustaba más como que sea the same on both sides, pero ya mirándolo así, creo que me gusta más el 3.
Entonces, entre las tres opciones, ¿usted le gusta el tercero y el primero?
Yeah, the third one looks a little more inviting than to have the walls there.
Gaby, ¿qué le gusta más? ¿Cuál le gusta más de las opciones?
Gaby, no la escuchamos porque está... Ok.
Así.
Ok, ya.
Está ayudándole. Bueno.
Sí, mi hija. Sí, pues me gustó la primera. Le da mucho lujo. Y aunque pienso que va a salir más caro, pero la piedra va a durar mucho más tiempo que pienso yo que de los otros. No sé, pero me gustó más ese, por la elegancia también.
Buen punto. Angelina.
El que está en la página 2 de los papeles que tenemos. El que dijo Gaby, estoy de acuerdo con lo que dijo Gaby también.
Okay. ¿Y por qué, Angelina?
Lo mismo que dijo Gaby, tal vez no es mucha diferencia lo que quisiera yo decir. Así como ella dijo, no necesita mucho mantenimiento, aunque salga caro al principio, pero se ve muy bien porque se ve al otro lado también igual. Se ve muy bien.
Qué bueno. ¿Y Margarita tiene un favorito?
Para mí me gusta la opción 2.
La opción 2 con una piedra.
El diseño 2, con una piedra y una escultura. Se me hace como un balance entre el diseño 1 y el diseño 3. algo como un balance entre esos dos. Es mi opinión.
No, no, tiene razón, Margarita. ¿Y Lulu?
Liduvina. Lulu ya eligió el número 1, ¿verdad, Lulu?
Sí,
Yo el
sí.
1.
Liduvina, ¿cuál es su favorita?
¿Está ahí, Liduvina?
Creo que sí, porque she unmuted herself, pero no podemos escucharle. Bueno,
No la escuchamos, Liduvina. Puedes ponerlo en el chat si quieres. Sí, me parece que quizás tiene un problema de conexión porque veo que su micrófono está prendiendo y pagando, pero
pues ya vienen los otros grupos. Entonces, Whitney, if you want to stop sharing your screen, the other groups will start coming back.
gracias a todos por compartir sus opiniones y sus perspectivas.
Liduvina dice que le gusta el número 2 también.
Gracias, Liduvina.
Molly.
Yeah.
Marta todavía está en su canal o no? How do I do that again? What did I
So under interpretation,
Speak.
Allá,
open it up and then hit start.
¿me escucha en español? Sí, Martita.
Te escuchamos, Marta.
Ah, bueno.
Hola, querida Marta. Sí,
Okay.
lo siento.
I think we're back. I know that was a short amount of time to discuss all 3 images and what you guys like, but hopefully you guys had a little bit more time to contemplate your favorites because we are gonna start voting on them. So remember, do we want to show the images again, design 1, design 2, and design 3, just to refresh everybody's memory and what you're going to vote on?
Whitney, will you put up that last side-by-side you had?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Even though I just told you to stop sharing, so I'm sorry about that. So remember, design 1 is the image that has both a wall on both sides and a sign on the right side of the entrance. Design 2 has a statue or a structure. I don't know how you say that. A sculpture. That's what it is. A sculpture on the left and a wall on the right with a sign on top of the wall. And design 3 just has the sculpture on the right hand side. So we're going to start the polls. Rush, if you can start the polls, and you guys just want to pick your favorite poll, your favorite design. And Lucy, if you just want to go ahead and tell Joe what design you like the most, she will vote for you.
And Lucy, if you prefer to text me your answer, you know I've got my phone right here, so you can also text me if you don't want to say it out loud.
Joanne is not here tonight, right?
No, I don't.
No, she wasn't in our breakout room.
We've got about half of our votes in.
Rush, for 16 votes would be the number of community members.
Yes, yes.
Guys, this is a nail biter. This is very
Have we gotten Lucy's vote recorded?
I think that should.
No, I'm texting in case she's struggling to find me.
Is anyone other than Lucy having
Igual mío,
trouble
Marta.
voting?
Mandé yo y Angelina. No sé si llegó.
¿Qué pasa, Angelina?
Ok, yo estoy en el 1. Ajá, gracias.
Should I vote for Angelina then?
yeah.
I'm not sure if she can.
I think she was saying she couldn't get it to go, but she wanted to
Okay.
vote for one if you wanted to do it from your computer.
Okay, I'll do
Wanda,
it for
are you not able to vote either? Oh no. Could I have Wanda, are you not being able to vote? Is that what's happening? On the screen. Melissa, I am gonna send you a chat with
Me escuchan, tengo otro voto.
Melissa, I'm gonna send you a chat with Wanda's vote if you could just enter it.
Solo por familia o también. Bueno, yo pensaba que podía ser mi esposo. Bueno. Okay. All right.
All right, so I think Angelina's set.
Okay, and Melissa, just give me a thumbs up when you have voted for Wanda.
Melissa, did you see a chat from Amanda?
Yeah, I think, yeah, sorry, I should have been more clear.
Sorry, I'm
Oh,
so
okay.
did Melissa vote for?
That's okay. That's okay, Melissa. No worries. No worries. Okay, so let's just go ahead and close the votes. Or do I do that? Yeah, perfect. All right, so the first winner is design number 2. But because we are showing this to the greater community, we want to give them 2 options. So we're going to do another poll with options. So design 1 with the 2 walls, and design 3 with just the sculpture. So our next poll will be up shortly, and so you're going to pick between design 1 and design 3 because design 2 already won. So we already know we're going to bring that to the rest of the community. So here it is. So what is your favorite design? 1 or 3?
This is like at the eye doctor.
And Wanda, if you want to text, chat me, I can have Melissa vote for you. We're pretty close.
I think we're there. That's the same number as last time. So ready? Oh, got an extra this time.
All right.
Do it.
So option 1 won. So yay! Good job, guys. That was really nice. That was exciting, or at least I thought it was exciting. So what we're going to do is we're going to take design 1 and design 2 to the greater community, and they are going to also vote. You guys will also vote as well. One more round of voting, but to explain this better, I'm going to pass it off to Joe and Jordan to discuss.
Jordan's going to take this.
Perfect.
Where's Jordan?
Thank you. I was doing it. So for the voting process, there's going to be a few different ways for you to vote. And remember that this is for the entire Southwood community can vote, including you guys. So the ballots will be mailed out with the rent statements that everyone gets in the mail that have like your water and rent bill, which is not that exciting, but the ballot will be exciting. So you can turn it in on paper. You can property management office. We'll also have options to vote online. So it'll be on Facebook or Instagram, and you can then easily vote through your phone. So I know sometimes that's easier for people, but you'll also have a paper version. We're also looking into ways that, those just so people can vote on their phone. And then voting will happen during rent week in January, because we know there's a lot of people that come by the property management office then. There's a little more traffic. And so we're hoping it gets more people in to vote. Since you all have seen the designs, you've seen the process. If you feel passionately about them, please feel free to tell your neighbors that there's one you really believe should be the design for the front entrance. Feel free to be the spokespeople for designs you like. But so we'll be excited to see the report back about which design it'll be after the voting is closed in January.
Thank you, Jordan. Now, Rush has a quick update.
Thank you, Amanda. So I just want to talk about two quick things. One is just a note about the timeline and how this entrance piece is going to be built. So I think a couple of weeks ago, when our Director of Land Development, Andrew Beninsky, was here, he gave you a bit of a construction update, but we have gotten one proposal already from one contractor, and we should get another one this week. It's looking like it's going to be at the beginning of February when we're actually going to see all of the machines start moving dirt. And that's just because for a project this big, there's a period of time where a contractor is just getting ready, just getting equipment and stuff on site. Usually they call it mobilizing, right? But we'll start to see earthwork happening in February. After we get our final vote, like we talked about, we'll take these designs and have someone who's going to build them look at them and help us create the actual drawings, the construction drawings for them. So that means that we'll be also ready in February with drawings to build this. There is a good chance that because of all of those things we talked about at the beginning, like the electric lines and the new buildings we're building and all this underground work, that we may choose to do this entrance feature in pieces and steps. What we don't want to do is build this great big beautiful entrance feature and then have to tear parts of it out because we need to get around it or behind it to build these other things. So we're going to think a lot about how to start building it right away as soon as we start breaking ground, but also thinking about how do we do that so that we don't get in the way and have to redo something. So just to let you guys know a little bit of setting some in your mind what you'll see in the beginning of the year. The other, oh, I guess that's also my construction update. That was the other thing I was supposed to give. So I gave that already. So yeah, so very excited to have some folks who've said they're interested and pretty close to signed on. And yeah, it's all going to start moving really soon. So those are my two quick updates. And then the second half of this meeting is going to be with our friends from Kresge and our grant. I think we're going to take a short break, un descansito, 5 minutes. Go and take care of whatever you need to take care of in 5 minutes. And we'll all meet back here to do the second part of our meeting. Thank you guys. I really appreciate your votes and your attention and your time.
Thank you, Rush. So we'll see you guys in 5 minutes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Todd. Great drawings.
Molly, should I pause?
Yeah, the recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember to start it again.
Great memory, Amanda. That would have totally slipped my mind. So thank you guys for coming back from break. We are going to shift gears now and begin a conversation with our guests, Michael and Barbara. Hi, Gabby's daughter. See you waving. And we're going to have some space for you guys to talk with Michael and Barbara about your experience working as designers for the neighborhood. And if you remember from a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, when they joined us, they're interested in talking to you about what this experience has been like in terms of some kind of specific questions like power and equity and race. And so I drove around and tried to pass out these questions in writing. So hopefully you got a copy of these questions that you can refer to. But I'm going to pass the conversation over to Barbara and Michael, and I would just ask everybody, we want this to be a lively conversation. We'll try to support Marta's interpreting, and so try to speak slowly. And if you see us doing this, that means maybe we need to slow down. And so if you see one person doing this, everybody should do this in case Michael or Barbara can't see that window, or if two people are talking at one time, that makes it really hard for Marta to do the interpreting. And Jordan is going to also be interpreting for Spanish speakers so that Michael and Barbara can understand their comments. So I want to, at that, welcome Barbara and Michael. And
Okay, awesome. Joe froze for me. I don't know if she's, are you back now? Okay, groovy. Thank you, Joe. And thanks everyone for letting us be with you and learn with you. We'll introduce ourselves briefly. Michael, did you introduce yourself at the beginning of the night?
No, I didn't, but I'll go ahead if you want me to do it now. So, hey everybody, I think I've met a few of you at prior sessions, but I am a graduate student at UVA in the urban planning program, and I've been helping out with this research with Barbara and with the Habitat team.
And I'm Barbara Brown Wilson. I am an urban and environmental planning professor at the University of Virginia, but I'm also a very committed community member and have been honored to help alongside many of the housing organizations and resident leaders to really push for resident-driven design in our redevelopment processes, and I work most closely with Piedmont Housing Alliance because I'm on the board of directors there and have been just involved since the beginning of their work. I've helped run a youth program that allowed young people to really learn the land use basics and then be a part of the decision making there, and was lucky to meet Joe and learn about your process. And I think several of you have actually helped my students learn, Michael being one of them, through what we think your process is excellent and one of the best in the nation. And so we were honored when all of these housing organizations wanted to get a Kresge Foundation grant, that they asked us to be the sort of internal evaluation partner. And we didn't know what that would mean exactly. We were open to making it useful to the projects themselves. And alongside a lot of the people, not only with Habitat, but also with the Public Housing Association of Residents and public housing partners, and then also Piedmont Housing Alliance and their resident leaders have come to know that in addition to interviewing several leaders at organizations, and if you'd like to be interviewed, we'd love to have longer conversations with you as individuals. The other thing that we thought would be useful in learning collectively about, like, okay, this is very special that there's 3 projects in this region happening that are resident-driven redesign processes. That's very unique. So learning what's happening, as Joe said, around how power is being built, how you are, learning together about your community and what it wants is the only goal. And so we are hopeful this will be a short discussion, and then if you want to have follow-up discussions, we're always welcome to that. But our role is just to kind of, ask you a few very broad questions, and then there's no wrong answers. You can use it to have a dialogue that we hope is enjoyable and reflective for you all as a group. And then we will ideally write it up in a way that involves you directly and is useful, is useful to your long-term projects. And again, we think it's exceptional. And so we really just want to help you tell the story and also learn from what's been hard. Michael, did I miss anything? So there is no other agenda. And if anything is published, we would like to publish it with you. So we would, involve you in every decision along the way. Mostly we are just, writing all these stories up in a way that we can learn from so that the Kresge Foundation continues to give your wonderful projects money. And I said this when we met last, but just to reiterate, we're not taking any money out of the project. This is something we're just doing to be a helpful part of your community, and make sure that we all get to learn together. Okay, so first question. I have children screaming behind me, so I apologize if they are loud. That's probably going to happen. First question, how do you define power, and how has power been represented and shared throughout this process?
And whenever you go ahead and answer, it would be really great if you could introduce yourself to us and let us know how long you've been involved in the project.
Any bold person feel like going first? We can repeat the questions if you need. I can also put them in the chat. That might be helpful.
Yeah. What does power mean to you? Let's start there.
Yeah.
¿Quién es el primero?
Alfredo's going to go first. Yo voy a traducir para ti, Alfredo.
Oh, es mi turno, ok.
Ok.
Pues para nosotros como comunidad ha sido muy importante el haber tenido el poder de participar en, bueno, durante un largo tiempo en reuniones.
Lo voy a traducir ahorita. For us as community members, it's been really important to be part of this process and to be able to have participate as community members, have power in it.
Luego, durante el proyecto fue teniendo más credibilidad, tuvimos la oportunidad de participar en cada una de las decisiones, en cada una de las ideas, para ir pues conformando paso a paso hasta lo que hoy pues tenemos ya un proyecto casi.
So you're saying, and especially as the project got more credibility, basically, they were able to participate in more of the decisions and the ideas, and step by step, it's really made a lot of progress, and it's a project, yeah, that's coming to completion.
Entonces el poder de participación pues que los han permitido como comunidad pues ha sido muy increíble y a veces pues creemos que, bueno, es como un sueño que no podemos creerlo.
I said very grateful to have been able to participate. It's been incredible. And it's like a dream come true that you can't believe really that's happening.
Entonces, creo yo como miembro de la comunidad, pues me siento muy agradecido con todo pues lo que hemos estado involucrados en este proyecto, por esa participación pues que hemos tenido, y de alguna manera al final de todo esto vamos a tener esa alegría de poder mirar hecho realidad cada una de nuestras opiniones. ¿Sí?
I was saying he's very grateful as a community member to be able to participate and to look forward to finally seeing like the in real life, like all of their opinions, like all of their ideas that have just come to life. Yeah. Thanks, Alfredo.
Mercedes, are you gonna share now?
Sí, pues mi nombre es Mercedes Gómez. No recuerdo exactamente cuánto tiempo llevo participando en este proyecto, pero
Mercedes Gomez, and I can't exactly remember how long I've been participating in this project.
y pues ¿me escuchas, Marta? Ok, ¿me escuchas entonces? Ok. El poder, pienso que pues todos tenemos un poco de poder, pero aquí nosotros en la comunidad, más que nada.
She thinks that everyone at least has a little bit of power, but definitely more than anything, them here in us here in the community.
Y en nuestra comunidad, todo lo que hemos aprendido nos ha enseñado a ir tomando más poder, pero como te repito, más que nada, con la comunidad entera, todos juntos hemos usado nuestro poder para llegar hasta donde hemos llegado hasta ahora.
They've learned to use their power and to move forward and using it and to kind of reach for more and have used it throughout this process. Yeah. As a community, as an entire community. Yeah.
Digo, si todos aportamos un poquito de ese poder y hasta ahora lo hemos hecho, toda la comunidad, entonces hemos visto nuestros logros a base de juntar de todos un poquito de ese poder.
And all of us, by having a little bit of that power and using a little bit of that power, we've gotten to where we are working together. Lilubina, do you want to talk?
¿Yo? Pues a mí el poder, pues es que me dieron ellos mismos de poder asistir a sus reuniones y de participar en muchos eventos y ayudar a toda la comunidad para que participen.
So she's had power in being able to go to meetings and be part of meetings and also participate in events and to help the community in that way.
Pues creo que ya es todo en un poco.
So that's everything for now, even though it's little. Angie? Angie, ¿usted quería hablar? ¿O Vilma?
Sí, pues solamente dar un punto de vista que precisamente pues nos dieron el poder de participar en este proyecto y que igualmente pues nos dieron la oportunidad de dar nuestros puntos de vista, de ayudar en la planeación de las maquetas y así al mismo tiempo hemos ido aprendiendo de este proceso que está a punto. Okay.
So from her perspective, they've been given the power to participate in this project, to give our opinions, to help in the planning, and to learn about the process all along the way.
Ok, y que pues poco a poco se está logrando este gran proyecto y que estamos a nada de empezar. Al parecer ya será a principios de año, en febrero para ser más específico, por lo que he entendido. Y pues muy contenta pues por esta oportunidad que nos han dado a la comunidad, vuelvo a repetir, en participar.
So bit by bit, they've been achieving their goals, even starting pretty much from nothing. And at the start of the year, finally going to see some movement. And I'm really content with the project and for the participation. And for that, I'm going to continue participating.
Y perdón, no me presenté, mi nombre es María Mariscal, igualmente que Mercedes, no recuerdo cuánto tiempo llevo participando, pero muchísimas gracias.
Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Maria Mariscal, and just like Mercedes said, I'm not sure how long I've been participating. Been a while.
De nada, gracias a ustedes.
Thanks.
Hola.
Hola, Vilma.
Sí.
Okay.
Bueno, en primer lugar, doy las gracias al personal de Saúl y de Habitat por habernos permitido colaborar con ellos en los diseños de nuestra Saúl, para que pues también nosotros tomáramos parte de todo lo que ellos están haciendo para la comunidad. Bueno,
voy a traducir ahorita. First, just wanted to say thank you, Southwood, for allowing us to participate and collaborate in the designs of Southwood, our neighborhood, and knowing that we will be a part of everything that's going on.
Bueno, yo pues me siento contenta de haber participado en las reuniones pues, que pude asistir, pero siempre he dicho que pues nosotros ayudamos, ¿verdad? Pero los que tienen la última palabra son los ingenieros, arquitectos y todos.
She's happy to have been able to, sorry, I keep forgetting to speak as I have been happy to participate in the meetings, and that she could come to them, I could come to them. And I also have always said that although we get to state our opinions, the ultimate, the people have the last word are the engineers and architects.
Okay. Pues me siento muy contenta y agradecida por todos los que hemos participado y esto es todo por eso.
I'm happy and grateful for all the participation, and thanks, Vilma.
Okay.
Anybody else feel ready to share, or do you want to move on to another question, Barbara and Michael?
Yeah, we can see this as a conversation where if you want to go back to a question, feel free at any time to do so. So I'll throw the next one on top of the pile, and then know that if someone wants to add or complicate the conversation from before, that's always fine. The grant in particular, as these, this trio of housing organizations have written it, is supposed to be really connecting health and housing through racial equity, health and safety, and economic opportunity. And we're wondering how power sharing through the ways that you've described it is impacting any of those things. So does the sharing of power impact racial equity, health and safety, or economic opportunity in any way?
Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
can you hear me? Cool. Could you define maybe what you mean when you say racial equity?
Yes. So there is, so white supremacy has been basically the pattern of, in especially the fields of urban planning and land use and design, using power structures like the fact that, you know, traditionally people like planners and engineers and others, landowners, have made all the decisions, is a way to retain power and resources for only the already wealthy white people. And so racial equity is making sure that we more appropriately distribute wealth and resources in a way that allows everyone to thrive, and maybe even redresses those previous gaps created by the hoarding of wealth by white people.
Great, thanks, Barbara. I'm gonna give Marta a minute to translate all of that. She got it, you got it, great, excellent.
So just to repeat the question one more time so it's fresh in your brains, how has the sharing of power impacted racial equity, health and safety, and or economic opportunity in the community? You can answer all parts, one part.
And you can say it hasn't, if that's what you feel. It's not meant to be a leading question.
Marta, ¿me escuchas? Es para ti la pregunta. O sea, yo entiendo como que si nos ha afectado como la equidad racial, hablando de nuestro proyecto, o no entiendo muy bien, Marta.
So Mercedes is wondering, are you asking how, for example, racial equity has been impacted by this project, this work?
Okay. Yes, the power sharing you're doing in this project, where, you know, decisions are made by you, you're speaking, you know, as a collective voice, that work.
Thanks.
Pues yo pienso que no, Marta, porque es como explicó ella de la equidad racial.
So Mercedes said that she would say no, that it hasn't, per what was described by Barbara as racial equity, that it hasn't been impacted.
Informado ustedes y en las reuniones, pues pienso que hemos tenido todo el apoyo y pues siento que no, pues no ha habido como racismo por negarnos el apoyo económico, ¿verdad?
say also that feels like in our meetings that we've had, that there hasn't been anything like racism or keeping from being supported economically or being given economic opportunities. And you're welcome to also ask questions. You don't necessarily have to respond with a fully formed idea. If, like Mercedes did, she asked a clarifying question, feel free to ask what some of these things mean. They're hard.
¿Me puede decir bien la pregunta porque no escuché bien lo que se dijo?
Yeah, sure. How has the sharing of power impacted racial equity, health and safety, and or economic opportunity in your community?
No, yo digo que no.
Reina says no. ¿En qué sentido no, Reina?
Porque siempre nos toman por iguales.
So no in the sense that we have always been treated as equals.
Aunque uno no sepa hablar inglés, eso es lo que más me gusta porque siempre nos andan traduciendo.
Even if we don't speak English, I've always liked that they have always translated for us.
Vale, Dubina. Casi no ha participado.
I've barely participated and then muted himself again.
So one thing, can you guys hear me? Okay, sorry, it's a struggle. I'm not hearing everything. One thing I want to acknowledge is that these are hard questions and these are really personal questions. And so I want to acknowledge that, like, maybe this is not something that you feel called to share with the group. And I also want to acknowledge that it's okay if you have an answer that's different than what other people are saying. It's like the difference of opinions we have on designs. Not everyone is going to see things the same way or experience things the same way. I'm 4'11". I experience this world in a very different way than everybody else, right? And so both experiences are valid. And so I just want to make sure people understand that we know these are hard questions, and it's okay if folks want to keep their peace and not share, or if they want to share an opinion that's different than someone else's opinion that has been shared already.
Alfredo.
Otra vez. Pues mi opinión, pues pienso que todo ha sido con una equidad muy perfecta. Hemos sido incluidos en muchas cosas, en beneficios en la comunidad también, y creo que en lo que es a nivel de la comunidad de Charlottesville, creo que también hay muchos residentes que comentan una alegría por este proyecto que se va a dar en este lugar.
Okay.
Ujú.
So my opinion is that everything has been very equal, and perfectly so, in my opinion. We've been included in a lot of things, things that have benefited the whole community, and at a whole Charlottesville level community. I've gotten a lot of comments of just happy comments about this project happening here.
Creo que la noticia ha llegado a muchas personas en Charlottesville, y muchos me han dicho a mí: hey, mira, vimos tu nombre ahí en un periódico y hablan sobre un proyecto, y qué bien pues que en la comunidad pues tú también tengas la oportunidad de poder comprar algo, ¿no?
Many people know about this project. They've heard the news, and a lot of people that I know have said, I saw you in the newspaper, and you were talking about this project, and hope that there's also an opportunity for them to purchase a home.
Entonces pienso que en toda la comunidad de Charlottesville pues están muy contentos que la comunidad tenga una oportunidad de nuevas casas.
So I think in all of Charlottesville, everyone is happy that there's this opportunity to have new homes. Anyone else? Any of our English speakers feel compelled to share?
So again, as Joe said, there's absolutely no pressure to speak at any point. And there's definitely no pressure to agree or to say any particular thing. It's more just to learn together on how does this look? Is it different to share power and decision making in, you know, the work that you all are doing versus at Friendship Court or South First Street? Just learning about that. So I'll throw question 3 onto the pile, but hope that you feel compelled to come back if there's one thing you want to answer prior. What sorts of things have you learned through the redevelopment planning process? And would you, looking back, is there anything you'd have done differently?
Anyone feel ready to kick us off on this one? What have you learned through the redevelopment planning process? Did you have done?
Pues yo pienso que en lo personal no cambiaría nada. Hasta ahorita la información que hemos tenido en todas las reuniones.
Personally, I wouldn't change anything well, I didn't catch that quite, but everything we've done in the meetings.
Muchas cosas buenas, gracias de las reuniones que hemos hecho con ustedes. Y me doy cuenta que es un trabajo bien difícil.
Lots of good things have come from having our meetings together. And I understand that this takes a lot of hard work. It's a hard job. Hard project.
También porque, pues, a lo menos yo, una persona sin experiencia en estos reuniones, en el proyecto, entonces es difícil, pero a la vez gratificante.
Also because I had no experience in this in terms of meetings, the project itself, and it is hard, but it's also gratifying.
Y cansancio y a veces de no entender bien las cosas. Ahora en lo personal y mi familia, o sea, estamos contentos porque, como vuelvo a decirles, el proyecto va adelante y estamos muy felices que pronto empezará la construcción.
It's tiring to not understand things, but personally, for me and my family, we're very happy because the project is moving forward. And I'm very happy that we'll soon be seeing construction.
Y el poder de todos, o sea, se puede llegar a algo muy importante como es ahora la reurbanización.
I didn't catch quite the beginning, but I heard that the power of all of us can help us achieve great things, and right now that's redevelopment. Gracias, Mercedes. Anyone else feel ready to speak?
Déjame ver, no, sí lo tengo.
Nomás está escondida ahí.
No, que aquí los estoy viendo, nomás que no me ven a mí. No, a mí me gustó trabajar en equipo con toda la comunidad y pues yo aprendí a tener muchas amistades con la comunidad y pues vi cómo trabajaban los ingenieros, los arquitectos y cómo ponían el empeño para sacar la gran comunidad adelante.
So I've really enjoyed working in teams with the whole community. I've made a lot of friendships out of it and have learned about all of the hard work that the architects and engineers have put into this to benefit and support the whole community.
Y ok, pues sí, les doy gracias a todos por por darnos una experiencia que aprendimos de ellos mismos y sacar nuestras concluencias para que ellos nos dieran el final. No sé.
I'm you for letting us learn from you and taking our ideas and turning them into the ultimate, the end result.
Gracias a ustedes por tenernos en su equipo.
For having us on your team.
Yo voy a decir algo.
Okay.
Yo aprendí muchas cosas de ahí, de los arquitectos. Para mí fue una experiencia muy bonita que no la cambiaría yo.
I've learned a lot from the architects and engineers, and it's been a really beautiful experience, and I wouldn't change it.
Y me siento muy contenta con todo el equipo de Hábitat y aprendí mucho de ustedes.
I feel very happy, content with the Habitat team, and I've learned a lot from you guys. Marta. Alfredo.
Otra vez. 3 veces ya. Bueno, pienso que todos o muchos hemos aprendido 2 cosas importantes. Bueno, una de las que a mí me dejó fue aprender a expresarme o a expresar ideas ante muchas personas. El hablar en público es algo complicado, pero esa es una de mis experiencias que me ha gustado mucho en este proceso.
I think a lot of us have learned very important things. Like for me, learning to come up with ideas and talk about complex subjects in public.
Segundo, creo que hemos aprendido mucho sobre esa experiencia de ver reflejada nuestras ideas que hemos aportado en este bonito proyecto que primeramente Dios pronto vamos a estar disfrutando. Okay.
Secondly, I think we've learned a lot about the experience of seeing our ideas reflected in this beautiful project that we'll see or enjoy. Sorry.
So I want to make sure we honor everyone's time. I'm curious if anyone has one last thought or reflection.
Yeah, the final question was just, what did we not talk about? Is there anything you want to share that didn't come up? That's all.
Mercedes and Alfredo have something to add.
quiero agradecer en lo personal a todo el equipo, a todos, ingenieros, arquitectos, por todo el apoyo y por, gracias a ustedes y a ellos, como les digo hace un rato, o sea, he aprendido mucho y pues con el apoyo de todos ustedes también hemos salido más adelante en este proyecto. Gracias.
I want to say thank you to all of the team, to all the architects and engineers for working with us on this project and that we're going to see happen soon.
Ya me olvidó.
Yeah, I already forgot.
Well, hopefully you all feel free to invite us back and have future conversations. I know there's been when there's interest in maybe working with all of the resident teams to write a book at some point. And so if that becomes something that you're interested in, we would be happy to help facilitate your portion with you, whatever that looks like. So know that we are committed in a long-term way to whatever level of storytelling would be useful and exciting for you all. So keep us posted if as this project continues on. I'm not going anywhere, so I can be useful in whatever way or not at all. But thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Yes, Barbara, we appreciate your support. We appreciate the support you guys have shown, writing to the Board of Supervisors, writing to the planners, really trying to highlight the hard work that community members are doing and to make sure that everyone else knows about it, right? And hopefully we'll learn how important it is for community members to take the lead in the designing process because they are experts in their own lives and in their own communities. So I appreciate your commitment to trying to share that message with other communities who are trying to figure this out. So thank you for your support of the Southwood project. We really appreciate it. So we will shift gears one more time now. We are getting to the conclusion of our meeting. And I think most of you guys know that this is Molly's last meeting with us. She's been here partnering in Southwood for the last 6 years. And so we want to give her a moment to say her goodbyes and wrap up. So Molly, could I pass the mic to you?
Yes. 7 years, but it feels like 3, so.
7 years, sorry. I'm 6 years or 7 years, sorry.
Okay. I forget sometimes too. Yes, like Joe said, this is my last Thursday night meeting with you all. And I just want to say thank you to every single one of you. You all have been such a big part of my life these last 7 years, and I really am so proud of all the work that we have done together. And I'm gonna miss you all a lot. I will miss these meetings. These meetings are like my favorite part of my job, so I will definitely miss them. I hope we can keep in touch. I'm going to keep the same phone number. So I hope we will still be able to keep up even though I'll be far away up north. And I hope to see you all. I'm really hoping that if things improve with COVID and we are able to have the celebration, the community celebration we talked about in the spring, then I will see you there. So everybody stays safe and healthy, and hopefully we will be able to see each other soon. And I will be in touch with you before I actually leave Charlottesville. Even though this is my last meeting, and I'm wrapping up and finishing my work with Habitat at the end of this year, I'm not moving for a couple of months still. So I will make sure to say goodbye to each of you before I actually leave the Charlottesville area. So thank you guys all so much. And I know you are going to do wonderful things in the future.
Thanks, Molly. I was a big crying puddle the last time I tried to talk about the Molly leaving, so I'm going to try not to do that. So, Molly, we do wish you the very best, and we understand the desire to be closer to your family, and so we want to make sure that you know that we're cheering you on. So if everybody can hold up their little Molly poster that they have, we want to make sure that you know that us cheering you on, even though you are going to be far away from us. Everybody is in your corner, and we're pulling for you the same way that we know that you're pulling for Southwood. So I will stop there because I'll be in tears. But thank you for everything.
Thank you, guys.
¿Cuándo dieron los pósters de Molly que yo no tengo uno?
Allá de estar afuera.
Angie wants to know why she doesn't have one.
Carlos.
I couldn't find all the houses in the dark. I'm sorry if you one. I have
Solamente
one.
las hojas.
Necesito el mío.
Solamente las hojas.
Yo también soy reina, necesito el mío.
Marta es reina, yo sí lo tengo.
Marta, yo no lo tengo.
¿Viste?
Yo no lo tengo. No lo quiero.
If you didn't get one, I promise I'll come to you in the
no lo tengo.
daylight and deliver one.
Thank you, Molly.
Unas palabritas.
Okay. Pues se nos va Molly, pues la vamos a extrañar mucho. Siempre ha sido una persona muy, muy atenta con cada uno de nosotros y se le va a extrañar bastante. Pero en su nuevo viaje que tenga, pues que le vaya muy bien siempre donde ella vaya.
Adiós.
Gracias.
Oh. Te extrañaremos, Molly.
Adiós, Molly. Te extrañamos. Adiós, Molly.
Hola,
Que te
Giselle.
vaya bien.
Gracias.
Toca a mí.
Thank you, everybody.
Te queremos mucho, Molly.
Les queremos también.
Disfruta tu familia, Molly.
I will. Thank you. Maybe too much. But.
Molly.
Here, Molly.
Hello.
Was that Richard?
Yes.
No, pues solo decirle muchas gracias pues a Molly porque sé que entiendo que es una de las personas pues que tiene más tiempo creo de estar en esta comunidad y hemos compartido muchas veces una plática y creo que esto del póster es un recuerdo muy bonito para, espero pues todos lo tengamos porque aquí siempre vamos a ver pues que ella siempre se caracterizó por esa risa, esa alegría de poder compartir en la comunidad. Bendiciones y que todos pues estemos bien y suerte en el camino de su vida.
Gracias, Alfredo.
Eso.
Thank you so much.
Digo yo, Molly. No, pues solamente como te dije anteriormente, me siento muy privilegiada porque afortunadamente he conocido a personas muy buenas, y como te dije, humildes de corazón, y tú eres una de ellas. Te agradezco mucho, pues el haber compartido, ¿verdad? En las ocasiones que se pudo, y muchas gracias, Molly. Te deseo de verdad, de todo corazón, muchísimo éxito en todo tu proyecto de vida. Gracias por todo.
Gracias a usted también.
Y todos a ponerla en arbolito de Navidad, ¿ok?
Joe, can you hold up that picture? Is it me holding my plant?
Here's an 8x8 version.
It's my orchid. Well, thank you, everybody. I loved that surprise.
Mañana me mandan mi foto, por favor.
Sí.
Sí, sí. Muy interesante. Bueno, creo que ya casi estamos terminando la reunión y creo pues que en Southwood hemos tenido la suerte de tener un equipo muy bonito. Nunca en nuestras entrevistas que hemos podido tener, siempre todos han sido muy sonrientes, muy amables y eso creo que nos da mucha alegría en la comunidad y bueno, espero que todos tengamos una muy bonita Navidad, a todo el equipo de Southwood, a la comunidad acá también. Bendiciones para todos.
Muchas gracias. Igualmente.
Bueno, creo que nos vamos a ver hasta el próximo año. Pues les deseo una feliz Navidad y un año nuevo a todos.
Muchas gracias, Vilma.
Muchas gracias.
Okay.
Muchas
Okay,
gracias.
chao.
Chao.
Bye.
Ya
Bye, Vilma.
terminamos.
Bye.
Bueno, gracias. Que estén bien
Gracias.
todos.
Can we
Bye,
end
Martita.
conversations so Marta
Feliz
can come back?
noche.
Adiós.
Gracias, buenas noches.
Adiós.
Buenas
Feliz
noches.
Navidad
Ay, igualmente a todos. Cuídense
a
mucho.
todos.
Bye.
Cuídense. Cuídense mucho.
Bye,
Bye.
igualmente, bendiciones para todos. Adiós.
Sí,
Gracias.
feliz Navidad,
Gracias,
feliz año nuevo.
igualmente.
Y ahí, Saúl.
Adiós.
Bye, Molly.